Hey, what's up, Lightbolt Joe here. Today we are going to discuss book 6 in our original Goosebumps book reading marathon, 1 to 62, hopefully before Halloween. We'll see how that happens. Goosebumps, Let's Get Invisible. So it's the sixth book in the franchise. This came out in March 1993. I can't even talk today. 139 pages. 139 pages. I got it. So the Goosebumps books range in the 120 to 140-ish range, give or take, averaging in the 130 range. And so, again, very quick. Main character's name is Max. Starts out on his 12th birthday. His brother's name is Noah. He calls him Lefty because he's left-handed. They have, Max's friends, Aaron and April, are over, as well as his friend Zach are over for his birthday. They come across this mirror in the attic behind a secret room that they didn't know existed. And it's very much like the picture illustration, right? It's a mirror in the attic. And it's got wood surrounding it. There's a light above it with a chain. You pull the chain, the light comes on, and you turn invisible. So what happens when the chain breaks? Well, you tie a string to it. So you could just pull the string and the light still works. So there's conversations where the why Max does not want the mirror to be a part of the science fair competition. I was going to say talent show, the science fair competition at school, because Aaron really wants to do it, but Max is like, no, like it's not safe. He says, what is it? Magic? Is it electric? What kind of science is this? What happens if we show it to people? The military is going to want to take it away, and they're going to want to make invisible soldiers. So, like, no, it's too dangerous. No. So he's very, like, sane about it. And he knows that the longer you stay invisible, the harder it is to become real again. Because you have to be under the light. It's very specific rules. You have to be under the light. You yourself don't have to turn it on. Somebody else can still turn the light on by pulling the cord, or pulling the chain, or pulling the string. But you have to be under the light facing the mirror. And as long as you are that, you turn invisible. And then you can do about whatever. But the longer you stay invisible, the farther away you become from reality. So things start to get distorted, hazy stuff, right? So as the story progresses, the friends still come together and start to, challenge each other. Hey, I could stay invisible for 5 minutes. Hey, I could stay invisible for 7 minutes, stuff like that. So eventually, Zach and Aaron have the longest bout of 12 and 15 minutes, respectively, something like that. And so when they come back to reality, Max is noticing that they're different. Like, Zach used to have one part of his head shaved and the other part, like, swooped over. And then, like, when he got back, it was reversed. And he's like, that doesn't, I feel like huh? You look different. And then Zach's like, no, that's how my hair's always been. So then Zach, not Zach. So then Max becomes invisible again. They pull the switch, they pull the cord, and they pull the string. I keep saying cord. It's not a cord. It's a chain, and then it's a string. Specifically the word chain and string. And then Max realizes that he's been invisible for too long, and he's starting to get drawn into this invisible aspect. And what is this invisible aspect? Well, it's in the mirror. And so he's seeing these shadows of people, and he's seeing these bouncy heads. Reminded me a lot of the first Scooby-Doo film on Spooky Island, where, like, the souls were in that cauldron, and they were just like floating heads at the end when the cauldron spilled, and they all zoomed back to their bodies. So Max is facing himself, his reflection, in the mirror. Super neat, having a different dimension thrown into the mix. And then it's a matter of the reflection of Max wants out, but then Max realizes what's going on, and he escapes, realizing that Zach and Aaron are actually reflections, not their actual selves. And then eventually Lefty, his brother, comes back up from a softball game and, like, holds himself in the door frame after, he throws the ball for Max to catch, but he breaks the mirror instead. And so then Zach and Aaron get sucked into the mirror because they're right there, into the shards, because it was the whole vacuum effect. And then the other souls can be released, and then they would get trapped back in. Max didn't have to face his reflection anymore, so then he goes plays catch with Lefty in the back of the garage with the softball, realizing then that his brother is throwing with his right hand, not his left hand, and he was a reflection that was not sucked back into the mirror dimension. Bum bum bum, and that's how it ends. It's a very abrupt ending, and it's a very, oh my goodness, what happens next, but you don't need to know what happens next. And that's what's neat about this, is that it's a very quick, leaves you on a cliffhanger. You want more. You don't need more, but you want more. But it's still a good conversation starter of, this is another dimension that's brought into this. This mirror dimension is brought into us. What if your reflection was actually conscious? What happens if your reflection is sentient and can escape into the real world and switch places with you? What happens? Very interesting. Very, very interesting, very quick. I had a lot of problems with it up till the conversation that they had about the science fair, because the whole time I'm reading this, I'm like, it's plugged in somewhere. So if they can't turn the light off with the clicky part, why don't they just unplug it? But it dampened the mystification of the mirror world. I get it. I get it. That was my only tiny little caveat critique, was if it's an electric mirror, right? Because they have to pull a string to turn the light on, so the light has to be attached to some form of power source. Why don't you just unplug the power source? They didn't actually specifically talk about that, and it's fine. I'm nitpicking. On the whole, I did enjoy the mirror dimension aspect. It was nice and spooky, and it was it's fear. It brings you, you're in for a scare. You're like, what happens? What happened to Noah? Why is Noah still in the mirror dimension? Why couldn't he escape? What is this reflection of Noah going to do? What happens next? So I thought it was good. Kept me interested, as all these good Goosebumps books do. On to the next review. Mucho mahalo.